Violence is not an inherent feature of games, nor is it as common as some people may think. While many of the popular games today are strategy war games or first-person shooters, there are many games that do not involve killing. Part of the reason that violent video games are so popular is that many children play video games, and it is easier and more satisfying for them to play a game that simply requires them to kill enemies instead of problem solving or puzzle solving. This is further promoted by violent television shows and films, which children are sometimes exposed to before playing violent video games. Violence is therefore an issue in all media, not exclusively in video games. Some people argue that video games are worse for violence because they are more immersive and because of the fact that they are interactive. While it may sometimes be the case that games are more immersive, in my opinion, video games have never been realistic enough to immerse the player to the point where it is any more immersive than a television show, which not only shows real people, but has more realistic action than an animated video game. Video games are most often quite clearly computer programs that are primarily made to be fun, not realistic. This means that they have features which make sense for gameplay, but would not make sense in reality. The news media have at times attempted to blame video games for influencing some people who commit crimes, but the effect that video games have on these people has not been proven with consensus by any scientific community, to the best of my knowledge. The fact that games are interactive might make it seem like the player is more likely to feel like they are actually taking the actions that the character is taking in the game. While this is sometimes true, there are two consequences to this. The first is that the player might feel like a killer if the game character is a killer. However, the second consequence is that the game might not be immersive enough for the player to think, even subconsciously, that the actions in the game are real. This means that while the player may feel like a killer while playing the game, they also know that they are not killing real people. This means that in a real situation that involved death, the person would realize that real people's lives would be at stake, and they would not act the same way that they would in the game. Not all games are violent. Violent games are interactive and can be immersive, but these facts do not necessarily make them dangerous, and the effect that these games have on people should be accurately studied before one makes generalizations about games.